Hey, class, we are back at it again. Hey, we're going to look at a little closer look at the site plan. Now, I know we created a very simplified rectangular site plan and threw some topo solid down on there. But we're then going to one that's a little more complicated so that you have that experience and you can handle what's coming up. Now, typically, site plans tend to be four sided. I wish that was always the case, but it is not. We're at the point now in the Salt Lake Valley that a lot of the properties that are up for sale are very odd shaped and have multiple sides to them. I think I just did one. Well, I just did one that was seven sided, and that was kind of a tricky little piece of property to work with. What makes it difficult is when you have odd shaped property lines. It's hard to make a house fit and still get a driveway on them. So what we're looking at here, this is a South Fork subdivision. It is from Monroe, Utah, in Sevier County. On this, it has quite a bit. It does have the Mets and Bounds description, the proper description here on the side. And if we look at those a little closer, you can find out that's a very quick way to put yourself to sleep. It really does do that quite well. If we zoom up on here just a little bit, see if I can position that on the vid here. You get an idea of kind of what we're looking at here. There we go. So we always start from a monument. The monument here in Utah is on the southeast corner of Temple Square. It's a little stone um, obelisk that marks the point where all the property in Utah is measured from, and everything has to trace back to it. So when it's talking about this monument, uh, that's um, that's what's referring to is, well, this monument is actually the one on the property. All property goes back to the Prime Meridian Monument, but this one's a piece of rebar that was found with a plastic cap that was temporarily put in. The one that we want to look at that goes all the way back would be off the full description of the entire county map here for Sevier County, which is what we're looking at. But you'll see a lot of words in here like thence and hence and the Mets and bounds. This is to get to this piece of property. Now, what I'm going to have you look at here as well is we have this chart here, which is labeled with C's. These are civil. They're actually, but think of be civil. They're actually referring to curves. So curve 1 through 6. And the curves we find out are what happened here on this cul-de-sac. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is the information needed to do the cul-de-sac. And that's what we're going to do is we're going to pick and do one of these lots. And that's going to be what we set for the house plan we're working on, which is this one. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just for the, I'm going to go ahead and think I'm going to do lot 16 here today. The same process will be the same for lot 17. It'll just be backwards. Now, you then want to print this off if you haven't, or have it on a screen where you can see it. We're going to need to first use all of these Mets and bounds. And so we have here north 89 degrees, 24 minutes, 20 seconds east. And that's a total of 402.33 feet. That is this entire length to this point here. And then we go south, which is exactly opposite of what's going on here. So there's a little bend in the property line here, is what's happening. Okay, now as you look at that, there's also a 10-foot easement that goes all the way around. This is where your utilities are all in. So we cannot put the house in that 10 feet. Public utility easements have to be left with anything permanent not being there. So you can put a fence, you can pour a driveway, but know that if the city or the utility company wants to access that utility line, they will tear out the fence and the driveway to get to it. And oftentimes they may not replace that. It may just be at your cost. So be mindful of what you put in the easements. Okay. Not only do we have that, we also have setbacks that we have to worry about and make sure that our property is not encroached on. We have enough green space. The house isn't too close to someone else's house, and all these things go along with that as we work this through. All right, now what we're going to do here then is I'm going to change screens and we're going to start laying this out. We're going to put this in using these mets and bounds, the southwest, the northeast, southwest here. That's a little bit problematic, is we can't be going south and west on both sides. At some point, we've got to flip the corner and turn, and it's not showing here that that is going to happen. So we got some things to fix on this, and that means we'll have to use some very critical thinking as we go through it. Now, things that can help with that is if we come down to the bottom, we do have a point of beginning. This is where this whole subdivision starts, and it starts here, and we'd have to go back to the description and see, are you going north or are you going east? And I'm pretty sure we're going to go north because we don't have an east value here, well, per se, right near that. We do have the south bearing here that we start to put that road in from the center of the road. So we're going to just assume we're going to go north here and move up, which is going up on your page. So if we did that, then we're going to go all the way up and then over and then down and then over, and then we don't know what happens here. Okay, we really don't know how it was all laid out. So let's go ahead. I'm going to slide this over to the side, and we'll bring up our Revit program. And here's what we've done already. We're going to make some modifications to that. I'm going to take you through this. Again, we're going to do lot 16. You're welcome to do lot 17 or any of those lots on that plat map. If you want to keep it straightforward and simple, that you can. Now I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go back to my browser. I'm going to go down to the floor plans. I'm going to go to the site plan. And this is what we have so far is this. Now, if I look at that, I can edit that sketch and get an idea for what's going on there. It was literally just a rectangle drawn, 120 by 150 feet, which is fine. It works, but it doesn't have any of the information needed to make it a working site plan. It's just there to kind of anchor a building. Okay, so we're going to create an actual site plan now. And hopefully you do get that opportunity that you just have to go through and everything's rectangular for you and life's good. But let's go ahead and start setting this one up. Again, remember your visual box here. If we then see it, it's got to be in that box. So we might have to make some adjustments with this scope box in order to see everything. But we're going to not worry about what's here right now. We're going to work on the side and get that to work. So here we go. If you will, go across the top of your Revit program over to Massing and Site. And we're going to start with a property line. So click on property line, and you get a text box that comes up. You have to make a choice. We can either sketch it, which is what we've already done, or we can create by doing distances and bearings, which is what we're actually going to do. So we click on create by distances and bearings, and we get another chart. Now, what we're going to do is going to take what's on our plot map here, and we're going to draw the boundary of this property. And I'm going to start right here with this south value, south 0 degrees, 17 minutes, 57 seconds, west. We're going to go 57.2 feet. Okay, now it's always in tenths of a foot in engineering. It is not metric. Okay, it's tenths of a foot, which is a base 12, whereas metric's a base 10. So do not confuse metrics with engineering. Okay, so I'm going to start here with the distance, and I'm just going to highlight the whole thing and put it in 57.2 feet, just like, oops, that's not a 5, that is a 2. 57.2 feet, and it'll convert it for me because I don't want to try and figure out the decimal value of 51 and 1/28. Okay, then when it goes south, because that's what it told us, it's going to go, now be careful here. There's a degree symbol here, a foot and a mark. Try not to delete that. It's a little tricky to get that put back in. So I just try and just highlight just the numbers We're going to zero that out. Then for our minutes, it's 17. And for our seconds, highlight twice, it is going to be 57. The highest number of seconds you can get is 60. The highest number of minutes you can get is 60. Actually, it's 59. You can't go beyond 59.9. So, and then we're going to be going west. So this column will either be north or south. This one's going to be east or west. It's going to be a line, so don't worry about that. We're not worried about radius right now. That's our first line. Done. Insert a new line. Line number 2. The distance on line number 2 is going to be 198.52 feet. So I'll put that right in there. It is a line that's going north. It is going to go 89 degrees, 24 minutes, and 20 seconds. So just get a 2 there. And that is going east. So far, it's looking like things are staying pretty balanced. Opposites, south, north, south, east, west, everything's working out good. Still a line. Okay, now we've gone across the top. So we went up, and now we're coming over. And then another line down. This is the third line. It's coming down. The distance on this line is, it's a tricky one. You've got to do some adding here. Or you can do it in 2 pieces. I would suggest doing it in 2 pieces. So this property has a length of 105.01 for this line, and it's feet. It'll always be feet. It is going to go south. So south, north, south makes sense. It's the same value as our first one. So I'm just going to highlight that, do a Control C, highlight the bottom one, Control V, and I don't have to think about it. Then this is going to be west again. Now that's where it gets problematic. These are parallel lines. One should be going northeast, the other should be going southwest. But they're both the same. We'll have to fix that in a minute. Okay, we're not going to fix it now. Okay, we're going to fix it in a minute. Insert the next line. The next line is the exact same thing again. There's a little segment here that is 22.98 feet. So I put that in. It is then go south. So it's going to be a little wonky here. Same bearing. So I'm just going to paste that back in again. Control V it. You'll have to use Control C and Control V for your cut and paste. And it's still going west. Okay, so it's just an extension of line 3. Okay, and it's just because it's adjacent to another property line. Okay, now I'm going to go horizontally to the left. So insert line 5. This distance is going to be 161.25 feet. It is going to go south. That's a lot of souths. And it's going to be going 89. It's almost the same value as this one. I'm just going to copy the second bearing and place that. But I do have to make a change because it's 89 degrees, 24 minutes, 17 seconds. So it's a little bit of an angle going on there. Okay, now that puts us at the curves. So let's recap here. We just came across horizontally. We're right here at this point. Now, curve 5 is from this property line curving to the left, and then it curves back to the right for curve 6. So we're doing curve 4, C4, C3. We just need C4 to get that to close in right. And that's kind of what we're looking for is these points is where the arcs change. So I need C4 values. So I'll find C4. And let's see, we're going to look for the chord length, which is this value right here, length of chord, 124. That's the bearing. I want the length. Let's go a little bit more here. There we go. Now, I'm going to have to reduce that so I can keep track of what line I'm looking at, because it does get a little crazy here. So coming across, this is my bearing. Stays pretty similar there. A little bit of change. This is the actual one I want to do is this southeast value. My chord length is LC 79.5 is what I'm going to use there. Okay, so now I need to create this curvature with this bearing point. Okay, so we're going to slide that back over, and so we can come to that in a minute and get that just a little bit arranged. All right, so insert, and again, our distance here that we've come up with, it's line 3, is 79.5. 79.5 feet. It is going to be going south. Boy, that's a lot of souths. The bearing on this is 27 degrees, 39 minutes, and 35 seconds east. Okay, so we're here. Now we're going to change this to an arc. And the radius of that arc is 45 feet. Here's our radius. And it's left, right. I'm not really sure because I'm going backwards. So that gives us our 6 parts of this property line. Let's go ahead and create it and see what we have. So we hit OK. And it comes onto our screen like a DS. Okay, so now we started here and it went down when what we wanted was for it to go up. So we're going to look at this property line. We're going to make some changes. So it started here. We intended it to go up, and it came down. Okay, so now we'll start with one line at a time. So we go here, and we then go up here to edit the table. And I'm going to take this first line and then change that to north. And we'll go east with it. So let's have to flip those around and hit OK. Okay, so that works. So it's going up, then across the top. Then it's going to come down. Now that's the 2-part line there. So that's good. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's looking good. Line 4 has a problem. So then go back and edit the table. Come down to line 4. We're just going to change the south to north and the west to east. So we're going to the left. East. Ooh, that should be west maybe. I'm going to leave that west just to see what happens. Because I want to be going west is always to the left, east is to the right, north is up, and south is down. So I'm going to leave that right there. That's the wrong line. I am changing the wrong line. This one's still south. Sorry, I made an assumption. South, west. This is that extended part right here. I'm changing this one. That makes sense. North, west. That's what threw me off. That should be. So now I got east, east, west, west. Now, as we look, that gives us 3 easts and 3 west and 3 norths and 3 souths on a 6-sided shape. Now it logically makes some sense. So let's check it. Ooh, looking good. Now we went up, over, down, over. We got to swing this radius. Now it's swinging down to the right. Let's see if there's anything in the table that will help us with that. It's left swinging to the right. Let's change it to a left swing and see if what that does for us. Not kinda, except it's going the wrong direction. Okay. So let's go edit table and let's change south to north, east to west, and apply that. Oh, now it's definitely still wrong. So go back in and back to a right arc. There she is. So up, over, down, around, and up, and around. Now, we have a little bit of a problem here, my friends. They didn't connect. It did not close correctly. Okay, so there's a couple of things that could be happening on here. So let's go through real quick and look at our table one more time and make sure that we've got all of our angles correct. So, so this bearing here is 27, 39, 35. 89, 24, 17, 1757, 1757, 84, 20, 24, 20, and 1757. So all our angles are correct, which means there's a discrepancy here from the engineer. This happens a lot. So over time, we've moved our technology a great amount, especially in the last 20 years. We used to do things with theodolites where we were manually measuring things with basically a periscope. Now I moved to GPS, and the GPS continues to get more and more accurate. And so sometimes we get property lines that just aren't as accurate as we'd like them to be because we're drawing by a computer now and not by hand where there's built-in error. I'm then go through and check my distances real quick, make sure I did not type in something wrong. So 57.2, 198.52, just making sure that's not a 6. Sometimes it's hard to read. 105, 1, 2298, and 61.25, and 79.5. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how much we're off by. This is a measure, and 3 feet. Now, that's kind of surprising. I kind of assumed it would be that. We are legally good as long as we're within 3 feet. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I am looking here at this angle, and it seems to be going a little bit wrong. So I'm going to go back to our lines, and I'm going to make an assumption here. So that would be line 5. I'm going to switch it to south because we remember balance has gone here. So we'll go south and east and apply that. Dang, went the wrong way. I want that to angle down just how would I do that? Let's see. That's going from here and coming down. That would be maybe, let's see. Let's try southwest. I don't see a lot of these, but we'll try southwest. There she goes. We went southwest. If we drop that, just go to the south side, that'll slope it down, and we have closure, my friends. That did it. So you may not understand the civil side of things very well, but you can get in there and you can reason it through, and so you can make sense of it. And you'll learn more as we go and do more of these, but you've got to put that effort in to do that. Now I'm going to move this over to the house. I'm not going to ever move the house. Okay. That's too many things to try and move, but I can move the property line. So then now move this down over my house, and I'm just going to kind of stay pretty close to where I am. I got to pull it down a wee bit because I got to put in. Well, let's do the setbacks first. That's going to be our easiest thing to do. I'm going to do all the line work here, and then we'll move it into position. So the first thing we're going to do is put in our 10-foot easements. I'm going to do that with a modify, and I'm going to use an offset. And I'm just going to change my offset value to 10 feet. And I'm going to turn copy on. Now, right now, we have a long dash, short dash, long dash. That's the property line symbol. I'm going to offset that whole thing, hopefully. Oh, it won't let me offset it because it's a non-tangible. You can't touch property lines. That's crazy. So I'm going to have to reproduce it. Dang. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to annotate. We're going to go to detail line. We'll then go choose our line type over here. And what we've got is we've got some center lines, we've got some hidden lines. We're going to use those because they're not what may present they don't represent the property line. Now, as I go in here, now we can go and create some new ones if you like. Let's go and do that to the reminder. Go to Manage. We then go to Additional Settings, Line Styles, and we're going to open that up, and we're going to see, okay, we've got a few things in here that could be used, but none that we're actually using. So we're going to add a new one. We're going to call this our PUE property. You can go P period, U period, E period for proper public utility easement to get that. It's going to be in the line, so we're going to create that one. We're going to pick our line pattern over here. So we're going to go down the list of lines, and I wish I could see more of those all at once. I'm going to use a dash line, and I think I'm going to go with the, let's see, an 1/8 inch dash. Well, we might change that. We can always come back and do it. The line weight on that one is going to be, let's make that one a 3. That's a good middle of the road number. And we'll keep it black. Okay, so we're going to hit an OK. And we're going to draw a line to check it. So annotate, detail line, place a line, change the line, PUE line, and we're just going to draw a line to see what it looks like. And it won't show here. It won't show here because it is drawn on the floor plan level. So go to your floor plan. It is a little annoying how this isn't all in one. And I'm sure there's ways to get it there. I'm just not that savvy on that part of it. Detail line. Let's try again. Drawing a line. There she is. And we zoom up, and we notice that that is a very closely knit stitch line. So an 1/8 inch means there's an 1/8 inch gap between each one. So if I want to change this, and I kind of do, I'm going to go into Manage again, into Additional Settings, Line Styles, open this back up again, go find your PUE, and let's go with one that's a little bit larger. And wow, they didn't give us a lot of choices. Let's double it. We'll go to 1/4 inch, apply that. Notice how it changes right there on the screen. So we're going to go with that one. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and create our new one for our setbacks. And we're just going to do building setback for that. Setback. It's going to be a line. Put that in there. And we're going to change that one. This is going to be a 4. Want a little bit bigger weight than what the PUE is on there. And so we have that. And then we're going to look at that setback line. It needs to be something that we haven't used. I'm going to use probably the 1/4 inch center. I think is what I want to use. Yeah, that's. That's probably the use. A 1/4 inch center line. We use that one. And apply all that and hit OK. Now, there's a trick to doing this here because it needs to be parallel to all these sides and match exactly. So if you would, when we go into Annotate, now again, we're drawing here on the side and we have to move all this in one uniform piece. So that's why having it on the sides would be helpful for you. So I go to Detail Line. I'm going to use my PUE now that I've got that set where I want it. They use the Pick a Line. I'm going to set my offset to 10, and that should be feet. Now, I just then pick the line and bring those lines in on those sides. And there's that little piece there. That way I get the arc as well. So there's the PUE. And then just use your corner tool, your corner trim tool, and clean those up so they're all nice and, well, they just look good. Okay, so we clean those up. There's my PUE. Now I'm going to do the setbacks. for this. Now, this front yard is this arc. That is your setback for your front yard. So when I go in there now and then do back to annotate, detail line, I'm going to change it now to the setbacks, building setback. My first one, your front yard is going to be 25 feet. So I'm going to put that 25 feet in there. And then take that arc, so pick a line, and offset that. So I cannot be within that arc right there. Now the side yards, that's this yard, this line here, and here, those are typically a total of 20. We've used 10 and 10 already. Technically, I really don't need more yard there. But if you didn't do anything with like an RV parking, and since our garage is on the left, I may want some parking here. I'm just going to do another offset of 10 feet. And I'm going to take and copy offset over one more mark here. So listen to the building setback there. Now, notice those lines are different. Even though we're doing an offset of this line, it changes. And so I'm going to corner that one. And that becomes my setback. So now I'm getting an idea where my building can be. Your backyard tends to be the two remaining lines, and that is a 30-foot setback for this area. So we're going to go back to our modify, offset 30 feet, and we're still using the same line type. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that again from the property line. Now, it doesn't want me to do that. So if I'm doing 30 and I've already used 10, that means it's only a 20-foot change. So I'm going to do 20 there. Yep. And that's where they come here and come in 20 and come in 20. Now this line right here is where it gets to be kind of a little tricky. I'm just going to go ahead and do 20 here as well. And actually, that's probably going to be more like 10 because yeah, it's going to be more of a 10. Do 10 there. And we'll bring that one there because we've got the 20. Yeah, so that would kind of match because that's kind of your side yard issue. Cul-de-sacs are tricky, and you do have to know what each neighborhood is. So my building can sit in this box right here, and it might be a little tight. Might be a lot tight. Yep, we are a lot tight on this one. It's going to be very, very, very tight. Now, there's a thing called a variance. And a variance says, this is what we're supposed to do, but can we get permission to do something different? And what that says is if I increase my side yard and make my backyard here and not here, then what I'm going to do is this. And this is a mark it so you can see it. I'm going to take this back 10 feet. And so I have that little bit of extra. I'm not going to close it up or clean it up yet. Then I just use that as an indicator. That's why it's not connected. So I'd fill out the paperwork, take it down to the city or the county, and I'd say, we need a variance. They say, okay, fill this paper out. And you go get that paper, and you have to go to all the neighbors, and they have to say, yes, we'll let them do that. Yeah, we'll let them. And if one of those neighbors that's adjacent to the property says, no way, you can't do it. So variance means you need to get permission from your neighbors to do something that they were not allowed to do. Okay. And that's kind of a handy thing. Now that I've got this done, I'm then doing my move. So I'm going to do move, and then window the whole thing. I want it all at once. Finish that selection, and then grab my corner here, and then bring it over and kind of get an idea. So I'm using the corner. Have to kind of eyeball things just a wee bit. Place it there. Now, while it's still blue, you can use your arrows and fine-tune that. Now, this is where that variance is going to come into play. So I'm going to move this back and down. So I get the corner of the garage is going to be where my setback is. And I never put it right on it. I want at least a foot so I can juggle things around a little bit and have make sure I'm not crossing the line, because remember this line's at an angle. So I try and not get right on it because I don't want to try and turn the whole building. And if I use that, oh my goodness, I don't need the variance. Great, that's even better. And so I enter it in. And we're just going to cancel out that move command. And I can take this line out because I don't need the variance now. I fit within those bounds. Okay. And I've got plenty of side yard. Here I've got, it's a little tricky getting a driveway in here though. A little bit tricky. Yep, it is. Let's do this and undo that just a little bit. Then I need more driveway space. So let me tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to come back to before the move. Did all these little juggles, and it takes a minute. So I'm undoing, just doing Control Z to undo. So you can see I jostle a lot. And I know I don't need the variance, so I'm not going to worry about that now. I am going to fix my trim that I went too far with. And so I know the house fits. So I'm going to do the move again. I guess I could do a redo there. Bring it forward, but excuse me. So I'm going to window it. I'm going to finish the selection, grab the endpoint, bring that over so it's approximately where I want it, and I'm going to move it down so the back of the house is on that setback area. Again, I don't want to be right on it. I want a little bit of room there. I don't want to cross. Now, these stairs are crossing over. They would be considered non-permanent, so they could just be torn off if there was a problem with that. It's the building itself, the foundation on up, that we have to worry about. So these stairs, I can probably get the city to buy off on that. And you have to sweet talk and go to a lot of meetings, but it's kind of worth it. I'm going to shift the building, the property, over, and so I have enough room for a driveway there. It's going to still be a tight driveway, but the more I move it, the better my fit becomes because it's wider. So if I keep moving this over, I'm gaining more distance with the angle of the property. And remember, I just have to not go outside that box. So if I shift this over, I'm gaining more area to put a driveway in. And a lot of times when you're designing, you might do this. Let's shift that up. Let's go down. Put that down in there a little bit more. And now I can get a driveway that will probably work because I've got 5, 10, 20. I got plenty of room now for a driveway. Remember, my driveway can go over the setbacks and easements. Okay, but I do have my. This is one of the downsides to cul-de-sacs is everything's I'm getting more property, and you usually get it at a discounted rate because you've got all this space that you really don't get to build in. But because of the nature of this house, I'm going to end up using that for probably RV parking and stuff like that. So it'll be pushed back a little bit on the lot, but I'll be able to still utilize this and create a driveway. All right, so that's what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to cancel out my move. And again, there's 1,001 different things. If you wanted to rotate the property and have the house facing the cul-de-sac, you could do that. Again, there's so many other solutions, but the primary one is to be able to create your property line. Now, I'm going to change out everything here. So it's positioned. So I'm going back to the site plan. And I'm going to go look at, so notice I'm now down to one line instead of the 4, and which is fine. I'm going to take out what I had before. So I'm going to take, and I'm just going to actually just highlight it and hide it, which will be a little problematic later on, but we'll eventually get it hidden in all the views. So that this is my property. I'm going to then adjust my scope box so that everything fits. And so I'm not losing anything when I'm viewing it. And then I go 3D and check the view there. Now that's the old, so I'm going to take the old out. Again, just going to hide it in views. Take the topo solid out. And I'm going to leave the driveway because that's going to be still part of it. And the trees stayed. Okay, so let's go back to the site plan. And I'm not seeing trees here, though. That's a little problematic. They're showing here. Okay, that's okay. I can live with that. So they're showing there, but they don't show in the site plan. And typically not, because they're trying to show how the building fits on the property, not the other way around. All right, now I do want to put a topo solid on here. So we still have the elements here and just hide them in the views as you go so you don't have to deal with them. There's the topo solid. Okay, now I'm going to put a new topo solid in. Mass and site, topo solid. This should save you work. It's always a good thing to do. Okay. And then we're going to go in and get that to load up here again. That's it's thinking. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and pick lines because I want the property lines all selected. I'm going to leave that one off because it's too many endpoints. It's already trying to get a little cumbersome there. I want this one, the arc out here, the one here. Corner this piece back into one endpoint. I know, it's okay. Let's see if it'll corner for me. Okay, so we get all that. Now I'm going to go back and select walls. And I get the walls, and it's extended to the core. It's not going to be close enough for what I want it to do. So when I pick the wall, notice it's coming back into the inside, which is okay. I just have to be kind of a little bit aware of what's happening there as I move along. I'm not going to do that one. I want one line per side. I'm not going to have it jog, maybe better. I'm just going to jog it in, I guess. Usually I don't because this is temporary. So I'm just going to work my way around there and bring all this back in. Up and over. So I'm just doing the exterior walls, so make sure you're paying attention to what you're selecting because I'm creating where the boundary is for this property element. And come back around here. So if you end up with walls or different thicknesses and stuff, you can create some issues. But so far, I've not been disliking the topo solid. Some don't. But all right, so there's my profile. So remember, a shape inside a shape creates a hole. So I just created the hole for this. Now, personally, I don't like the soil coming all the way in to the foundation. So I'm going to do an alignment option. You can do an offset as well, but I want this to go to the face of the core, and I want to offset it out. So it's to the front of the foundation wall, or where the foundation wall would be. And it is a little bit extra work, but it will save me work later. So the soil, the topo solids, then come up underneath the brick overhang, and I'm not going to be left with a gap. There'll be a little bit of an overlap with the wall, but it'll look better in the graphics than it will if I didn't do this. So otherwise I get a little white open void in the renderings. It's like there's a hole going around your house, and it's always disheartening if you got the house in a hole. You don't want that to be the case. So notice I definitely don't want to go to the face of the finished material because that would, again, leave that look of a hole around it. All right, one or two more here. Well, I guess more like 6, but who's counting? Someone will. And here I went to siding, so it's going to be a little different there, and I'll have to do some tweaking, probably to get the graphics to look right in the renderings. All right, so that's that. We go back here, check it off, and somewhere I've got an error. I missed one. I've got an extra line. Cool. So hit continue, and I'm going to select and delete one line out and see it's still there. So somehow I clicked twice. So I'll do a new corner. There we go. And check again. It's still not liking that. Somehow I got double lined. So we're going to take them out. So modify. Okay, and they'll pick a line back and corner. So you do have to kind of pay better attention than I did apparently on double clicking. All right, now we're going to connect those. And we're going to take a quick look in 3D to make sure we have what we intended. It'll take a minute to load. And we're up way, way, way high. So our topo solid is on the main low floor line. So we're going to change its elevation and drop it down to finished grade. Apply that. Yep, we know. So it's got some overlapping. That's because my driveway's in the road. Alrighty, and there is the topo solid with the driveway where it's supposed to. So now I got to bring the driveway out to the cul-de-sac and put in the sidewalk, curb, and gutter. That is the next one. Hang on.